Welcome to Star Maker. This time, we're making a 1:12 miniature chocolate bar. To start, let's measure a real chocolate bar for reference. The dimensions of a typical chocolate bar of this size is about 15.5 cm in length and 7 cm in height. The thickness is about 0.5 cm. There is actually too much blocks on this chocolate bar, so I won't be using the measurements. I will be reducing it down to 3 × 5 blocks. Now that we have the measurements, let's create the positive mold. I'll be using a 0.75mm thick styrene sheet for the base. Scaling our measurements down to 10%, we will cut a piece measuring 1.5 cm by 0.7 cm. Using a hobby knife, slowly score out the styrene. After which, you can bend out the piece. Making some adjustment cuts here. Measuring the piece again, just to be sure we got what we need. I added some guidelines to divide up the chocolate bar. The length of each block is about 4mm, while the height is about 2.5mm. To better help see the division and to add some details to the base, I'll be using a micro chisel to carve along the lines. To make the carving smoother, I will score the guidelines with a hobby knife first. Then, we will carve it with a 0.1 chisel. This is how it turned out. To make the lines wider, I will switch to a 0.2 chisel. This will help to make the lines more defined when making the negative mold. It looks a lot more visible with the wider lines. Now, to make the individual blocks. For this, I'll be cutting styrene strips into tiny pieces. I'll start by lining up the strips horizontally using plastic cement. It's quite tricky to line them up as they are very small pieces to handle. I'm also using a tweezer to help shift the pieces to align with each other, although the end result won't be completely aligned, since this is done completely freehand. It takes quite a bit of patience to line them up, so this took me quite a while. Also, they tend to shift a lot if you use too much cement. So there was a lot of mistakes for me to fix and adjustments to make. This is the end result where all the pieces are lined up. I went ahead and added the vertical pieces to try it out. That is what we are going to do next. We will cut the vertical strips according to the gap of the horizontal ones already in place. They may fly away when you cut them as they are very small. To prevent that, I put my finger on top of the blade to keep them from flying. After cutting out the strips, we just have to slot it in. Then apply some plastic cement to let it set in. It can misalign as well when doing so. Be sure to adjust it with a tweezer. Naturally, it will take just as much time to lay down the vertical pieces. It took me quite a while to get everything in. After quite a long time getting it all in, here is how it turned out. Looks pretty good. Before we can make the negative mold, let's sand it down to give it an even shape, especially in between the blocks to make them appear more aligned. Using an electric router, I will widen some of the holes of blocks that isn't wide enough. With all that done, we can proceed with making the negative mold. For this, we will be making it out of Oyupla. This is a thermoplastic you can buy from DAISO. Putting it in hot water softens the plastic, after which you can shape it into however you want it. In this case, we will use it to make a print from the positive mold we made. Be sure to push down the Oyupla from the top and sides to get an even mold. After letting the Oyupla cool down, you can remove the positive mold. Let's make a few more molds just to be sure. Here are the finished molds. We are ready to start making copies of the chocolate bars. I'll be making them out of an Air Dry Resin Clay. The brand I'm using is Grace, which is a lightweight clay with a translucent finish. It's my first time working with the clay, so I will test it out on the mold without dyeing it first. Doesn't look so bad with how it turned out. Here is a comparison with the positive mold. Let's remove the excess clay with a hobby knife. It's looking pretty good. We can start making the actual chocolates. For making milk chocolate, I will mix red and brown acrylic paints to the clay. Just add the acrylic paints onto the clay and knead it in. You are not going to get the color right the first time, so keep adding the colors as needed. Once you get the color you desire, just put some clay onto the mold and start making copies of it. Please excuse me doing this with my bare hands. It's much easier without a glove. Remember to flatten out the back so it doesn't end up with an uneven base. Gently remove the clay. And there you go. After trimming out the excess clay, this is how it looks like. You can use a toothpick to adjust any imperfections from the mold. Let's keep on making a few variations. To make dark chocolate, I'll be mixing red and brown again with some black. After mixing for a while, this is how the color turned out. I'll be making as much copies of it as I can from the clay. Next up, it's white chocolate. I'll just be adding a bit of yellow to the white clay. I ended up mixing too much yellow into the clay, so I will just take a small piece and mix it with some fresh ones. I'll save the yellow clay for next time. And here are all the chocolate flavors we made laid out. I made visuals of the packaging for the chocolate bars. Let's make the packaging with the printed visuals. Use a hobby knife and a metal ruler to cut out a piece of the wrapping. Trim out any excess with a pair of scissors. And carefully fold the wrapping accordingly. Use some white glue to join the ends together. For the foil wrapping, I will use a double-sided silver paper. You can use aluminium foil too, but it's much easier to tear it compared to the silver paper. Using a guide I printed, I cut out the amount of silver paper I need. Then I just wrapped a piece of silver paper around the chocolate bar. I have some cold laminating sheets which I will use to give the chocolate packaging a matte finish. Using the printed package as a guide, I cut out some of the cold laminate sheet. Chocolate bar wrapped in the foil is perfect as a backing to help apply the cold laminate on the packaging. Be sure to align the laminate first before fully applying the rest. Here's to make something a little extra. Remove the chocolate bar with the foil packaging. Cut about a quarter of the packaging away. Make a few snips to make them look like it was teared up. Put the chocolate bar with the foil back in. I wrap the foil and crunch it up a little. To make it look like a piece was bitten off, cut some of it away with a hobby knife. And we are done. colours of the chocolate turned out well. I really like working with the lightweight clay. The addition of the packaging made it look more realistic. I wonder if I could make actual miniature chocolates. I had a lot of fun making this. With that, happy Valentine's Day. I'm a day late though. Did you receive any chocolate? Did you spend time with a loved one? Me? I was busy playing Tekken 8. I'm still not good at the game, but I'll keep at it. I got a lot of things to catch up on, but that's for another time. For now, thank you for watching and see you in the next build.